You good?
It's recording.
Okay, so we will try to record these classes and see how it goes and if anybody can make use of that. من you want to go there? Yeah, I'm okay for baby. Yeah, I'm okay for baby. Okay, come sit. Come sit. So the idea behind this course is to introduce ourselves to us and know better who we are and what's the purpose of us being here. So we want to start with going around the room and ask people who want to share with us, maybe a couple of people. If I ask you a question today, who you are in 30 seconds, give me an answer. Oh, no, David. Give me a description of who you are. Okay? Want to start, David?
I'm a Jew. I'm an American. I'm a former Marine, and I'm 78 years old.
All right. Danny, you want to try?
I don't know. That's why you're here, right? Only God knows.
Only God knows. So, give it a shot. If you have to describe who you are, 30 seconds. What do you say? Who am I?
I am Donnie Matilsky. That is my name. And I'm a Jew.
Okay, and
I have a soul.
okay. So, who am I? I'll answer this question. I'm an Israeli, and obviously, Jewish. Not American too. Israeli American, and I'm honest. Try to live an ethical, moral life, and live to the best of my abilities as a Jew. Okay. Steve, wanna go for it?
I'm a Jewish grandpa and 5 grandchildren. I'm retired from the Coast Guard and a husband. I'm responsible to my family and my ancestors.
Very good. David, you forgot to say you are Marine.
No, I am.
You said it.
I said it? Okay, good.
Wake up, Rabbi.
No, it's okay. Donnie threw him off by just not even giving an answer.
Alright, David. David Rothschild, want to try?
I'm a survivor, and I've been very fortunate to live a very interesting life.
Alright, good.
I'm back to phone. I don't have any. I can say I'm Daniel from Rocklands, but sometimes I'm Israel Daniel. So I live in 2 worlds,
And Alep. Oh, yeah. We got a chair?
and like anybody else, I have struggles, moral struggles that I'm trying to work through. That's what I got.
Alright. Manuel, right? Manuel?
Yeah.
Manuel, right?
Yeah, I go by Taz.
Taz?
Taz.
Taz, okay.
I'm Taz, and I'm the son of my genetics and environment, and I'm lost. And so I am.
Alright. Howard.
I'm Howard. I'm an actuary. I live in Tallahassee, work for the state. And I guess I'm also Jewish, and I'm committed to that, learning more about it. Tanya.
All right.
My name's Lenny. I'm a student at FSU, and I'm trying to learn what it means to be a Jew. No rhyme and cousin.
I'm Harrison. I'm always a student. Always. I am married to my job. Probably never anybody else until I get a new one. And I am a brother and a son with a very rich in heritage Jewish family.
All right. Alec,
All
you
right.
on?
Yeah, I'm Alec. I'm a first generation American. I'm a proud Jew, and I'm the grandson of a survivor.
Wonderful. Mandy, you want to tell us who you are?
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows. Okay. John, you want to go for it? You try to ask the questions of who you are. How you describe yourself, who you are.
I don't know who I am.
That's why you're here, to find out.
That's why I'm here.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. So, this is helpful. This exercise we just did because that's what we're going to be dealing with of who we are, and in the Tanya lesson that we're going to be learning, we're going to touch in the core of our soul of who we are, and the purpose of the book of the Tanya. The Alter Rebbe defined it in a very clear way. And he said, what is it? It's a book to give you answers to all questions. All questions. You may ask, there is endless amount of questions, there's endless amount of answers. How could one book contains the answers to all questions? So Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev, who also lived around the same time of the Alter Rebbe, was a great holy rabbi, said that when he saw the book of the Tanya and he read through it, he said, how could the author take such a big God, such a great God, infinite God, put it into such a small book? That's how he described what the book of the Tanya was. So there are answers, to questions, but the answers, the way the Tanya is different from other books where you could find answers to your questions, is that the Alter Rebbe is teaching the answers, is touching upon fundamental questions and giving fundamental answers. He's going very deep to questions that are fundamental to our life, fundamental to our Jewish life, and answer those questions, and answer that from the origin of the question. I mean, it doesn't. You could go to you have a toothache. You could take Tylenol, or if it's a little bit more of a problem, you could take antibiotic. If you have an infection. But it's not similar to making a surgery. If you need to perform a little surgery on your tooth and your gum to take care of the problem, the book of the Tanya is similar to that idea. It's making a surgery, going through to the root, to the core, of the essence of the issues. And Alter Rebbe is dealing in three general questions, at least in the beginning, in the first section of the Tanya, the first 53 chapters in Tanya, which are dealing with who am I? Second question is how can I be happy? And the third question is why was I born? Those three questions are going to be covered in the Tanya and in the course that we're going to be learning, taking to the Tanya. If anybody wants to take notepads and pens, feel free. If you ask somebody, how do you live your life? Like, how are you doing? So you make a different type of answers. One of the common answers you get surviving. Another question answer you may get, I'm hanging in. How many times do you hear the answer when you call people and they say, thank God, I'm doing great, excellent? Huh? Don't hear it very often today, right?
Well, when I call you.
But it's something that people, this question of who am I and what I want for my life, like Tad said before, I'm lost. Where do we go? What do I want out of myself? What do I want out of my life? The clarity of where I go with my life and what I want out of myself. It's something, those questions people don't ask generally in everyday life. People are trying to avoid these questions, either because you don't have an answer to the question, or because it's too scary of a question to deal with what the answers are, or they're just trying to avoid it altogether. And at times, what are the times that you find yourself asking the questions, who am I? What do I want out of myself? What are those times? What is that?
The hard times.
The hard times, right? When you go through a major challenge in life, hey, God shook me and moved me all directions that whoa, what do I want out of my life? Where do I go? I could tell you, when I had my accident, that I saw death in front of my eyes, driving 80 miles an hour on I-10 being in the passenger seat, going towards the trees, those kind of experiences shake you and say, wait, you realize that life is not so, it's not so, don't take that for granted. You have to realize what do you want out of life? What message God sent you? Where are you going? What direction are you taking? So at some point, or after a great joy, if we have a great joyful experience, maybe winning the lottery or something, very happy, right? So there could be many answers to this question. I am a Marine, I am a veteran, I am a Jew, I am many different answers to the question of who am I. But we're trying to figure out is not just who am I, what is my job, what is my experiences in life, what I want to do, but who am I really I? It was an interesting story with Alter Rebbe, who his grandson was a Tzemach Tzedek. When he was a child, now he was raised by the Alter Rebbe. His mother died when he was young. That's another heroic story. Her mother basically sacrificed her life for her father and for the teaching of Hasidus. All different story. But her son was raised by the Alter Rebbe, and at one point when he was sitting on the Alter Rebbe's knees, he was asked by the Alter Rebbe, his grandfather, where is grandpa? Where is Zaidi? So the child pointed at his beard and he said, this is grandfather, this is Zaidi. So he turned to him and said, no, this is not Zaidi. So he turned to his mouth, he pointed at his mouth and he said, this is Zaidi. And he said to him, no, this is not Zaidi. This is only Zaidi's mouth, this is Zaidi's beard, this is Zaidi's mouth, but it's not Zaidi. So he was trying a few different possibilities and it didn't work. He was a little bit disappointed. He went off his grandfather's knees and his grandfather went outside the room, and as he was going outside the room, he turned to him and he said, Zaidi. And his grandfather turned around and he smiled, the child smiled and said, this is Zaidi. This is grandpa. So meaning, it's not his mouth, it's not his beard, there's something deeper of who he is. And who he is the one who turned to him, that person who turned to him, that's who he is. So who we are, we're going to get a perspective of who we are in the first part of the Tanya. The first course deal with the first part of the Tanya, chapter 1 through 5, dealing with who we are. The second part of Tanya, the second course, which is going to be dealing with chapter 6 to 11 in Tanya, after we get to know ourselves, we also going to learn about the battle that takes place between us and who wins over this battle. And the third course, we're going to learn about, not the third class, the third course, because every course is going to be a few classes, chapter 12 through 17, we're going to learn, to better gain self-control. Our Rebbe is going to teach us better of who we are and which buttons to push at which times in order to control ourselves, to control who we are. To teach us about the Beinoni, the intermediate person who has complete control. The fourth course is going to be dealing with the Jewish heart, with my Jewish identity. That's chapters 18 through 25. So that's about who I am. So chapter 1 through 25 in Tanya, dealing with who am I. Second question that the Rebbe is dealing with after this, we get to chapter 27, is how could I be happy? So there's an interesting story about a comedian. It was number one comedian in the world. That anybody who went to his shows, could not stop laughing. He had such a good time. So there was one time that a psychologist, a very famous psychologist, came to this show of this comedian, and he enjoyed himself so much and he had such a good time. He said, I gotta send my patients there. It's gonna solve the problem. That's gonna help them out. So he was sending people there, and they would come back happier. They loved it. They had such a good time. One day, a patient comes in, and this guy is critically ill. I mean, he's like depressed, big time. He needs something serious. So he said to him, "Listen, nothing's gonna help you but going to this comedian's show. So I suggest you go, there's a prescription, go to this show and watch these guys in action." Okay, sounds like a good idea. But he said to him, "I don't think it's going to help. Actually, I'm sure it's not going to help." So he said, "How do you know? I sent so many people that didn't help, so I want to help you?" He said, "Yes, they want to help me because I am the comedian." So how to be happy is not just what makes us happy, a nice car, a nice home, something that makes us happy is short-term happiness. But how do we really be happy at all times, at all circumstances in life? And that's what the Rebbe is going to teach us in when we go on chapter 26 through 34. And the third question is, why was I born? Why did I come to this world? Did anybody ask you if you want to be born? No, right? What is it? What does it mean? The Pirkei Avos says, "Al kolchach atar chai." You are forced to live. Nobody asked you. But why were you born? Yeah.
It goes back to the covenant. The reason that the Jews were given the covenant and accepted it was they promised God their children would carry it out. And the only way my parents and my ancestors can perpetuate themselves is with grandchildren and children.
So you say you were born to perpetuate our ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's an answer. But why was I really born just to perpetuate someone else? It's a good reason. I live here all my life, so my ancestors could have someone after them to come and live here.
Why were they born?
Why were they born? Good point. Yes, David?
Isn't it that we're supposed to follow the path to find out why we were put here?
Right. So why?
We don't know, any of us, why.
Right. So this is the question. Do we ever ask these questions of ourselves? Why were we born?
Yes, I think many people do.
Right. So a lot of people don't deal with that. Why are we here in this world? Anyone has a suggestion of why were you born? What do you think you were born? Specifically you, Harrison Dubasa in Boca Raton, Florida. Why were you born out of this entire world?
You tell me.
Anyone wants to suggest? Does anyone knows why was he born? So Steve said, to appreciate our ancestors, have a memory for them, which is a good reason. Anyone else?
I think one reason might be to carry on a family bloodline.
Kind of family bloodline, right? To continue our families, so like along the line of what Steve says, to commemorate our parents. So. Anyone else? Alec, why are you born?
Well, I would say to fulfill my purpose, but there's no answer for that question.
What is your purpose? What is the purpose?
There's no answer.
Alec, Queensborough.
That's up there. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So.
I think that's what we're all searching for, is our purpose.
Right, and the purpose of life, is that's what Tanya is all about. Discussing what are we here for. We know when we get up in the morning, what are we here for? So there was once the Alter Rebbe wanted to give a certain chassid a blessing for wealth. Now, a blessing for wealth from the Alter Rebbe is like $1 million wired into your account, cash. It's coming. You refused. You don't want it. Why do you think you refused it?
You didn't want to be responsible for it.
It says in Pirkei Avos, "Marbe nechasim, marbe de'aga." Increasing properties, increasing worries. So I want to be able to concentrate on learning Torah, and I don't want to have worries. Like John said, he wants to retire. He doesn't want to. Just want to study Torah and study Hebrew, right? Who needs to work? So why are we? So this guy said, I don't want wealth because I want to be able to study and I don't want to deal with work. Okay, so I said, I'll give you a blessing for length of days. And the guy said, you would have think that he would jump on us. Of course, length of days. He said, Rabbi, I have one condition, one stream here, that it will be a meaningful life, a purposeful life, not a farmer's life. It should not be just a life void of meaning. I want to live a life full of purpose. So the purpose of life. So we got 3 questions here. Who am I? How could I be happy? Why was I born? Any of you wants to find the answer to these questions? If you do want to find the answer to this question, then it's worth coming to these lessons every Wednesday night, because that's what we're going to be learning. We're going to be talking about discussing these questions. Now, just to give you a background on the book of the Tanya, a very brief background. The Tanya was written by the Alter Rebbe, who was the student of the Maggid of Mezrich, and Maggid of Mezrich was the rabbi who took over after the Baal Shem Tov. He replaced the Baal Shem Tov, who was the founder of the Hasidic movement. It's the first Hasidic book that presents the principles of Hasidus in a very clear way, in a very, beautiful, clear way, and it got the title of the written Torah of Hasidus. So it's called the written Torah of Hasidus. Why? Because that's the first book that really described all principles of Hasidus in a very clear way. And until today, more than 2,000 books, Chabad books, were written that are based on the Tanya, on the book of the Tanya. This book was printed over 5,000 versions in different cities throughout the world, and was translated into 10 different languages. And it was written about 200 years ago, but it's interesting that although it was written 200 years ago, it's so relevant to today's life that any person, everyone, and anyone could find meaning in this book. So if you take a look at the copies that I gave you, we'll just look at the title page of the title page of this book. Okay? So, by the way, I do suggest that if you are going to be coming every week, that you purchase the book called Lessons in Tanya, Part 1, because that's what we're going to be using, or otherwise, if not, we could make you copies just of the text of the Tanya. Either way, this one just has the Hebrew on one line and the English on another line with some commentaries. You're not necessarily going to do these commentaries in class, but it's just going to help you out. So if you like, let me know after the class. I could order this book for you. So it says, what is this? Likutei Amarim. That anybody wants to read this? Here, the first page here.
The English version?
Yes. From the Likutei Amarim, beginning. You want to read it, Harrison?
Oh, it's we have the wrong one. Wait, what is? Sure.
Yeah, no, this cup is right there. That one.
Oh, we didn't get that.
You get that? So you could. I think it should be about 10 copies of those I made. So. No one's. Okay, so you want to look, you could just share and look together. Okay, Harrison, what are we?
Sure. Compiled from sacred books and from teachers of heavenly saintliness, whose souls are in Eden.
So go from the top, Likutei Amarim.
Okay. Likutei Amarim, beginning of approbations, title page. The title page written by the Alter Rebbe reads as follows. Do you want me to read the Hebrew as well, or?
No, it's the English.
Okay. Sefer Likutei Amarim, a compilation of teachings, part 1, entitled Sefer Shel Beinonim, the Book of the Intermediates. Compiled from sacred books and from teachers of heavenly saintliness, whose souls are in Eden. Based upon the verse 1, for this thing is very near to you, in your mouth and in your heart, that you may do it. Explaining clearly how it is exceedingly near, in both a lengthy and short way, with the aid of the Holy One, blessed be He.
So this is a quotation from the Deuteronomy, this passage that the Tanya is based on, and it's the Alter Rebbe calls it compiled from. He calls it the Book of Intermediates, and it says a compilation of teachings. This is like the collection. He calls it basically, with his humility, he calls it a collection of teaching that he collected from different places. He doesn't claim to take credit for himself, like, oh, it's my book, like I came up with it. It's my. But he says it's a compilation, it's a collection of different things. And it's the first part of Tanya. There's 5 parts in Tanya. This is the first part. Contains 53 chapters. It's called the Book of Beinonim, Sefer Shel Beinonim, the book of the intermediates. Why? Because the center of Tanya is around that person who's the intermediate. It talks to an average person that, now every average person could come to be, and what's the ideal way for every common person to try to be. And he says that it's a gathering from different rabbis and different authors, referring to the Maharal of Prague and to the Holy Shalah and to the Baal Shem Tov. The books is referring to the Baal Shem Tov and the Maggid of Mezrich. It's all based on the teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, the Maggid of Mezrich, and other holy rabbis. And it's all the foundation of this book is this passage in the Deuteronomy that you have in your other quotations there, on the other sources here on that other page, the first page that you have there on the second copies. And Lenny, you want to? There's some more of this there. You want to bring them down there?
Right over here.
Yeah.
The main one down over here.
You bring one.
Yeah.
One more, please.
So you have, it's basically is the second section here. The second section here on this page here, that goes back to the Deuteronomy. And you want to read this, David? If you could figure that out, it's a little bit thing. But can you read it? This mandate, David, want to read it?
Okay,
Try it, best.
this mandate that I am preparing to you today is not too mysterious or remote from us. It is not in heaven, so that you should say, who shall go up to heaven and bring it to us, so that we can hear it and keep it. It is not over the sea, so that you should say, who will cross the sea and get it for us, so that we will be able to hear it and keep it. It is something that is very close to you. It is in your mouth and in your heart, so that you keep it.
What does he say basically? What does he say?
I think it's saying that everyone is capable of doing mitzvahs, and maybe on top of that, becoming a Bainer.
Very good. It says that the Torah is something which is very close to each and every one of us, in our mouth and our heart, to do it. Meaning that it's in our heart, in our speech, and in our action. Very easy. Wow. So easy to be an observant Jew, to keep the study of the Torah and keep the mitzvahs. It is that easy? Is that easy to be an observant Jew, to study the Torah and keep all the mitzvahs?
It didn't say it was easy.
It
said it was close.
Close to us. I mean, it's easy, it's close. Like, it's inaccessible within the region. We just had experience a series of holidays that anybody you speak to, anybody I spoke to recently over the telephone, thank God I survived the holidays. Like, oh my God, yeah, I liked it, but thank God it's over. So it's not so close to us. It's not so easy to be a Jew.
We just like to complain, though.
But the famous phrase in Yiddish, it's hard to be a Jew, right? It's a very common phrase, and Jews like to complain.
Sure.
I would like to complain. Oh, Abba, and I come. And
It's the only sport we're good at.
So how is it so easy? Is it easy or hard?
It's hard.
Hard. Anybody?
Surrounded by problems.
Why? Anybody think it's easy to be a Jew, an observant Jew? Steve, think it's easy? Yeah.
God gave the Torah at the beginning of creation. He created the light. And it's given again at first, and as well as Mount Sinai.
What is that?
It was given at creation that God created the light. He created the moon and the sun several days later. And at Mount Sinai, and when you were born, even non-Jews have a conscience. It's inside.
Right. So you said you were like sort of almost born with that, so it's easy. So it's easy to be. I'm going to go on the table and ask a question. You're going to say something, David?
I think you can make it easy or hard on yourself, depending on how much of your essence you want to devote to this.
Yeah.
You have the tools there, the Torah and the Talmud, and I think it's a lot easier to be a Jew if you get up every morning like I do and read a section of the Torah over a person that probably doesn't do that. It doesn't make it easier or harder, but at least I'm using the tools that's given to me.
No. Let's not this way. Is it easy to keep kosher?
Well, it's not as
Is it
hard as
easy
I thought it was.
Is it easy to keep Shabbos?
I think there's a difference between easy and convenient.
Okay, so is it convenient to keep Shabbos?
No, is it easy? Yes.
Is it easy to keep Shabbos?
Right.
You can make arrangements so that it makes it easy, but is that convenient to your lifestyle?
That's not
No.
good. So is it that close? Is it within the reach? Close meaning within the reach of every Jew. It's possible for everybody to do it. You know, I'll ask you. I'll go around the table. Halak, tell me what's the most difficult thing in Judaism is?
I don't have a specific thing, but I think we live in a world where we're surrounded by distractions and a bunch of other stuff going on, and you have to try to stay a step ahead, and a lot of the time you need to always be doing something or always be working on something, and you don't always have the time to do that, especially if you want to set time off to do nothing and just relax and think about God. I mean, it's
So lack of time, right?
It's not hard to relax, but a lot of people just don't have the time to do that.
It's a lack of time. How can we daven 3 times a day, and Shabbos, and you know, take 2 days off the week, 2.5 days off the week to keep the Yom Tov, the festivals. You know, we have lack of time. We're busy. We have things in our life. You know, so, Arison, what's the most difficult thing about being a Jew?
Aside from the bris.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Still
I think that it's living in the society that we live in. I think that's
Right.
what makes it hard to be a Jew.
Right? It's not everywhere you live. There is a Jewish society that supports you in what you do. Very good.
Especially here.
Especially here. I agree. Lenny.
I think what makes it the hardest to be a Jew is just that we're outnumbered in the entire world. We're outnumbered.
Minority. Right?
We're like the minority of the whole world.
Soon, Lenny, soon we're going to be a majority because the non-Jews have so few kids and we're having so many kids. No, I'm sorry.
Unfortunately, not all of us have, 8 brothers and sisters.
It says in the Torah, because Ki atem ha'me'at mikol ha'amim, Jews are the minority. Yes, Howard.
I find that the hardest thing is keeping the knowledge in front of me at all times that God is behind this world. Because if I were able to do that, I think I would be able to do a lot more mitzvahs.
God is concealed.
Because,
Yeah.
yeah.
God is concealed. Yeah. Ryan?
The hardest thing about being a Jew.
Getting up in the morning to come to show.
The hardest thing being a Jew is once you're endowed with the Torah, once you have a bar mitzvah, once you become a man or a woman by mitzvah, you're expected to keep up as many mitzvahs as possible. And it's not that it's hard to be a Jew in a bad way. That it's a good thing that you know that you're fulfilled with knowledge, and it's keeping up. At least for me.
Too many mitzvahs.
Everything fine. Yeah.
Too many mitzvahs. From being around Jews, Tats, what do you think it's
knowing everything there is to know.
Yeah.
I feel that
It's too much to know.
I don't know much at all.
Yeah, too much to know. What do you think?
I think keeping the mitzvahs is the
hardest.
The hardest thing. I mean, even in the Torah itself, you've got these people that were led by God Himself in their presence, spoke to them, and they lived as a community, and they still messed it up. They still broke commandments, and
Right, and
so we don't stand a chance, I guess.
yeah. So it's clear. Dan, what do you say?
The one that I think there's some that are really hard that I haven't done yet, but that's the honest answer. The one that I think has been most difficult for me is, the category is doing things in public, like wearing a yarmulke or wearing suits.
Yeah. So be a Jew, yeah, and others like I said before, being a Jew like and others in town. Yeah. David.
We don't like to be different.
Very good.
We like to be a part of the group. And we also don't like to have to explain to people why we do this or why we don't do it.
Very good. David, John?
What's the question?
What's the hardest thing about being a Jew?
Hard.
It's easy. Alright? Good. Alright. That's a good answer. Steve said it already. You said it's easy. It's not hard, right?
No, everybody's watching. We're supposed to be a light unto the nations. But every time we stumble, slip, don't do enough, or fast enough, or right enough, everybody points the finger.
Right?
We're judged by a higher standard.
Yes, yeah. Danny?
Changing your bad character traits.
Happy,
Working on yourself. Right?
That's
Yeah.
happy.
David?
I believe that keeping the Sabbath is, that's a tough question because we're in a very competitive society. And a lot of commerce and trade and what have you is conducted on Saturdays, which is our Sabbath. And hardly anything is conducted on Sundays, when most of the people that observe the Sabbath on a Saturday go back to living the life of competitiveness and all that, and it's not there on Sunday.
Yeah.
So in order to keep your head above water in this type of non-Jewish society that this world is, it's very hard to keep the Sabbath. And I believe God understands that to an extent. God gives us a lot of leeway on a lot of things. And I think, why should a man become destitute because he can't practice commerce on a Saturday? That's the thought that goes through a lot of small business owners and shop owners and stuff like that. My neighbor is raking in everything because he's open on a Saturday when most people are off of work.
Well, yeah. So it's,
And then on Sunday, when I can trade, there's no trade to be had.
right. No, it's up. Right. And you're trying to buy a car, Saturday is a big car day.
Right.
Mehdi, you want to say something?
Especially in Tallahassee, the dealers aren't open on Sunday.
Yeah.
That's right.
Other places they are.
That's
So we see that it's not so close to us. Everybody agrees. All the mitzvahs, 630 mitzvahs, it's not so close to us. So the Rebbe said this old book is based on this passage to explain to us how it is close to us, how it is possible for us to do the study of Torah and do the mitzvahs. And how? He's going to say how. And how? He says in a long but short way. What does that mean? You got this on your sources here on the second page, and the story in the Gemara, story in the Talmud. Who wants to read us this story? Here in the bottom of Lani, you want to read us a story? You made us the copies. We appreciate it. Thank you. On the bottom of the page. One time I was walking down the road. Read it, Lani? 53b3. See the bottom?
Yeah.
I'll read it out loud.
Sure. Does everyone know where we are?
No.
It's,
53b.
This page in the packet with the Hebrew on the front and the English.
The second page has Hebrew and English towards the bottom,
We're
on the
in
left column.
On the left column, in like the last paragraph, the second line.
No.
Go ahead.
Okay?
Thank you for making sure.
Once I was walking down the road and I saw a little boy sitting by a fork in the road. And I asked him, "Which is the road we take to the town?" He answered me, "This road is short and long, and this one is long and short." And I went down the road, which the boy described as short and long. When I approached the town, I discovered that it was surrounded with gardens and orchards that blocked access to the town at that point. I turned back and I said to the boy, "My son, did you not tell me that this road is short?" He said to me, "And did I not tell you that it is long?" I kissed him on his head, and I said to him, "Praiseworthy are you, O Israel, for all of you are very wise. For you're old to your young, from your old to your young."
So, Tata basically tells you, listen, I'm going to give you the answers, but which, sometimes how you make a barbecue, and I don't have a lot of patience, so when I make a barbecue, I try to cook the food quick, but it doesn't help. The fire just burn up the food and it doesn't really cook it. If you want to cook the food really good, you have to wait till the coals are warming up the food and let the coals slowly, but really, provide heat to cook the food. It takes a longer time, but you get a better product in the end. Get something you can eat, you can enjoy. So people today want the short answers. Tell me, how do I do it? Give me the magic answers. You know, I want to be happy. I want to know what I'm here for. What is life all about? Give it all to me. And then let me go. You know, there's no quick fixes. Rabbi says right away in the beginning, this is going to be a long way, but in the end it's going to be short. Meaning, if you're going to go through the book and go through without the Rebbe, you know, you will find answers, and you'll find it meaningful, or you'll find the reasons and explanations for all these questions, but no shortcut. Now, what he says in this next, sorry, not this one here. The one you in other copies here, you have the forward of the Alter Rebbe's to the book. You're not going to read it in class. You can take it. Welcome, take it on and read it yourself. But if you go through here to page number let me see here. So towards the middle here. Let's see how it is. This towards the end, says page 205. Towards the end, like the second to the last page of these copies, the other copies, in the bottom. And Alter Rebbe said that this is answers to many questions posed continually by Anash of our country seeking device. And in the end, he says, I have therefore recorded all the replies to all the questions. The meaning is, and now what he says over there, the next page, it says, for in this Likutei Amarim, one will find tranquility for his soul and true counsel on everything that he finds difficult in the service of God. This is unbelievable what the Rebbe is saying over there. He's basically saying, you're trying to get tranquility for your soul, you'll find it in this book. You're trying to find peace of mind in your life, you're trying to find meaning, purpose, peace, tranquility. You have questions about what is it being a Jew, about serving God. Here you're going to find the answers to all of your questions in this book. So it's a big statement to make, you know, but that's what this book is about. And what the Alter Rebbe is going to teach us is how, starting with our self-image and our ambitions. It's meaning there are two things in life that impact everything that we do: our thoughts, our speech, our actions. This is the engine of life, the motivation to life. One is my self-image. The second is my ambitions. So, what is my self-image? How do I view myself? Do people generally view themselves positively or negatively?
Negatively.
Unfortunately, negatively. You know? But is a self-image should be positive or should it be negative? And as an answer to this question, you know, what will come out of if the self-image is negative or the self-image is positive, meaning ambitions-wise. So I'm going to take a quick break and I'll ask you to pair up with your buddy, one who sit next to you, and discuss this question. And in 2 minutes, we'll come back together to discuss the answers and see what you come up with. Self-image, should it be positive or negative? If it's positive, what are you coming out with? What ambition you're coming out? If it's negative, what are you coming out with? All right, just turn to your friend and let's discuss this for 2 minutes, and we'll come back and
Definitely positive.
You know, I agree with that.
So, I Welcome to the
See you.
I lost my partner.
When you have
So you'll be my partner.
It kind of rubs off.
So what, so you said, next, right? Yeah, I mean,
I think,
I think to do business with
Physical body image. I got work to do.
so that's definitely so the result of this negative
That's the only.
stuff.
So yeah, I think
The result of this,